that we have giving sessions. You know, our top engineers. Even our roadmap isn't going to be a typical roadmap. You know, we have our founder and our head architect of the platform giving the roadmap, and they're going to dive into code. So it's not going to be a bunch of slideware. So I would say, except for maybe the certification, we're talking about our new certification program. Every session except the keynote and certification will be diving into code and giving lots of great information. So like I said, very dense, great value for developers. So very excited about that. You can ask questions in the Q&A at the bottom. You can see in your control panel, you'll see a mute, to start video, participants, Q&A. You can ask questions there. For some reason, if it doesn't work, just enter your questions in the chat. You can ask questions during each session, and if someone who's not presenting can answer it, they'll answer it. Otherwise, the presenter will hang out after the session and answer your question. If there's anything we can't answer right away, we'll follow up with you in email. And then at the end of the event, we'll send out a survey, because we obviously want to get your opinion on how we can improve things, because we always want to get better. So we'll do that. This year, like last year, we have our little social push on Twitter. And as I've found out, most developers are not on Twitter, but if you happen to have a Twitter account, please participate using the tag #Acumatica Dev Summit. The top 3 tweeters, if you will get Amazon gift cards, and we'll have a drawing as well, random drawing. 2 Xbox One S's will be given each day, so 4 total. So we have 4 Xbox One S's we're giving away to attendees. So run the Excel random generator on the registration list, and you have a decent chance of winning. The last thing I want to say before I turn it over to Ajoy, and he'll talk about this in more depth, is community. Community is really important. It's really what my job is about. You know, I've always, pretty much most of my career, worked with developers. Only one year I didn't work with developers. I worked with enterprise customers. But to me, that's what I get excited about. I like working with developers and encouraging them on our platform, sharing information, trying to drive content like this. You know, we had a hackathon, was our first big experiment 2 years ago. That was to drive community. It was a great success. Then we did it again. We had our last year's virtual conference. We added a developer track to last year's summit. So we're trying to make even our summit very relevant to our developer community. And that's a big push that I've had, that I want. The more information, quality information, and ways to deliver it and communicate and encourage developers to work together, the better, because it's all about the ecosystem. It's all about building applications that drive our customers. So really important stuff. So anyway, I'm getting a little carried away. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over. Oh, well, can't really turn it over yet. There's a next slide. I have to thank our sponsors, right? Last year we had Edisoft, ArtSild, DataSelf, and APS. We had 4 sponsors. We have 4 new sponsors, so we have 8 total: Century Business Solutions, Orange Cloud, Savant Software, and Kenzium. A big thank you. During the 10-minute breaks every hour, we'll be running information on their software to each one, plus some videos that we had developers talk to us about at the summit. So again, thank you, sponsors. Hey, Ajoy, why don't you take it away?
All right. Thank you so much, Mark. Hey, this is Ajoy Krishnamoorthy talking. I want to really thank you all for taking the time. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on the time zone you're joining from. And Mark was telling me last night that there are a few folks from Australia signing in, a few folks from Asia signing in, and folks from Europe, North America. So this is truly a global developer conference for Acumatica. It's exciting. Hopefully you can see that from our voices here. You know, working with the developer community and bringing in this type of stuff is definitely something that, you know, we care a lot about. And and that's why we appreciate you all taking the time to join. And in the spirit of community, Mark talked about the sponsors. I think it's very important to welcome the sponsors that are coming back, and also thank the new sponsors. That makes the whole thing come together in a nice way. So totally appreciate that. So what I want to do in the next maybe 15-20 minutes is I just want to set up a quick kickoff, kind of catch you up on a few things that's going on with Acumatica, touch upon some of the new tech that we are thinking about, and then close off with a couple of programs and initiatives, that we are working with our developer ecosystem. And again, the idea there is to kind of keep you in the loop and inform you of some of the updates here, and that will serve as a baseline, and not only today, but also as you start engaging with us, more in the future. And on that note, one thing I would say is I looked at the names of some of the people in the attendee list. Recognized a lot of the names, and I think I've seen many of you at the summit as well. It's amazing. Mark talked about the developer track and hackathon and so on. This is a community that's growing. It's a community that's passionate about working on the core technology, the Acumatica platform, working with the different ERP modules, and then we are excited about partnering with you in furthering that cause. So with that said, I wanted to start off. I mean, this year, 2018, has been a busy, fun year. I can't believe that the summit was almost 5 months ago, and we're already well into, believe it or not, in our next year's summit planning. Lots of exciting stuff that we're working on for that. But within the last 4 or 5 weeks, I wanted to just recap some of the new things that's happened. Maybe a little bit of a bragging here, but I just want to make sure you have the information about some of the exciting stuff that's going on in the Acumatica land, so to speak. The first one, team was out there receiving this award, I think last week or the week before. We've had the Cody Award recipient in the past. This year, we are humbled to receive the best cloud ERP solution, as well as an award for the best manufacturing solution. So it's absolutely a fun, it's a great honor. It's a fun one for us to collect, and look forward to seeing many more of this in the coming years. Next, we've talked about this in the past, having the recognition from some of the analyst organizations, where they do look at the different products and then the enterprise solutions and so on. We're excited that we're part of the Gartner Magic Quadrant for core financial management. We are placed in as a visionary. I'm sure many of you have seen this before. Gartner and other analyst firms like Nucleus Research have rated Acumatica, very positively overall from a solution, but also particularly from a usability and user experience standpoint, which that the team has done, a lot of work in terms of defining, what the modern, user experience, would look like. So anyway, one of the things that I put in there is the fact that Gartner calls out not just the focus on the cloud, but also the flexibility the application provides, with the XRP platform serving as the foundation. I mean, it's an important thing for us. I spent about 15-20 minutes at the summit talking about our investments in Open API, how we are part of the Open API initiative now with the Linux Foundation. And I get to sit on their governing board in the last year since we joined. Amazing set of initiatives that's happening in the industry, driving not just the internal adoption of standard APIs and definitions for Acumatica, but also working with that and broadening that impact in the in the community at large for other software organizations to drive. One other data point from the next group. This is from G2 Crowd. G2 is almost like Yelp for business software, if I may put it that way. It's essentially crowdsourced information and intelligence on different software providers and vendors. We are excited to come on top of their recent what they call the G2 Crowd report on user satisfaction. As you can see across the board, Acumatica performs really well, and that's testament to the product, testament to our partners, and testament to all of you that's helping drive the right development and customizations. The experience of our customers is top notch. So thank you for that. And the last one, I want to call your attention. I'm sure many of you, if not all of you, have seen the news from early this week. On Monday, we announced, securing funding from a top-tier firm in Silicon Valley, Axel KKR. This is an important milestone for the company, and with this investment, we will continue to and maybe even aggressively grow and invest in our product in terms of the technology investments, and I'll talk about that in a second. But also in the go-to-market, essentially use this to fuel further growth from an Acumatica standpoint. So we're excited about that, and fun things ahead off of this. All right, so I talked about the update there, and then the investment. That kind of leads straight into this view. I've shared a version of this at the summit in my day 2 keynote, talking about some of the focus areas. This is just a visual that kind of captures the different areas that we look at, from a capability standpoint within Acumatica. What you see in the bottom is essentially our investments around what we call the platform. We have a dedicated team that's working on a lot of these platform pieces, thinking about what are the capabilities that we need to bring in to enhance and increase the efficiency, whether it's to do with workflow or whether it's to do with customization engine, lots of investment going into this. I will spare the details on this one, as as Mark said. Mike and our CTO and Andrew, head of the platform team, we have a dedicated session tomorrow to drill down into some of the specific investment areas we've got planned at the platform level. And then in the top of the pyramid, we've got all of our functional modules, application modules. It starts with the core financials, distribution, CRM, and project accounting. And those are essentially the core modules we started off with. We've been investing in the last, I guess, since the company was born in the last 10, 11 years. And then most recently, started focusing in on the specific industry solutions, starting with, commerce, field service, manufacturing, and most recently with the construction edition. We announced this early this year in January, launched the product with R1. And one of the things we're also doing with the construction edition is, given we are a new player in that market, doing a rapid release cycle. You all know that we provide frequent updates to the builds and so on, but we're also including feature updates on construction, so we can keep the competitive edge, in some cases catch up with some of the legacy solutions that's been in the marketplace for so long. And then the top of that pyramid is obviously the integration into some of the add-ons. Both, there are obviously certain partnerships where we build the integration ourselves, and then there are obviously many partners, ISV solutions, that build integrations with Acumatica. If you look at the parallel set of effort, both user experience and emerging technology, that's something that's core to us. That's something that's important. The team is thinking about that holistically, what we could do from a user experience standpoint across all of these different investment areas. And then particularly on emerging technology, I just want to touch upon a couple of things here. I mean, this is an area where, we've been sharing some of the work that the team has been doing the last couple of years, primarily through the summit keynotes and so on, and then through some hackathon projects, where these, in some cases, might be a little bit of a stretch. Maybe, we need to kind of explore the idea further before we make it into the product. So this, the bucket of work that happens here belong in exploration, some early ideas, all the way to essentially, make it part of the product. So from a core, emerging technology standpoint, I mean, it's a span, all the way from looking at, how do we use, containers to serverless. Like we have a, scenario where we're looking at, Lambda functions, for example, with the notification. So that's, essentially an area where we look at specific technology, how we can apply that into our use cases. And then on the intelligent edge and the application side of things, we're looking at things like, blockchain, and there's lots of hype around it with all the cryptocurrency and so on. But we're looking at some specific use cases. Exploration is probably the right word there with that. But thinking around, supply chain as one example, smart contracts is another example. So there's some, few pieces that we are looking into. And then the next set of areas where we are, actually further ahead than exploration is working with a couple of customers on a proof of concept. One using the RFID tags. I demoed a version of this at the summit, with one of our customer, Bluefin, to aid with the, packing and shipping scenario. And we're actually kicking off a POC very soon, put that into, a mini pilot, so to speak, in a production environment, get some data, understand what the impact of that from a productivity standpoint. Same thing with IoT. I talked about how we are defining a vision around using sensors and getting the data from sensors to influencing some decision making within Acumatica ERP. With just literally this morning, I saw a note from the partner that's working with us that they're shipping the sensors to our customer, Cherry Lake, to plan some of the sensors in the farm, and then essentially getting the data back into Acumatica for intelligence. Can't wait to go, get through those POCs and share, information, back to you all. And then the last two areas that's a top priority for us is around the investments around machine learning, artificial intelligence, and the natural language processing. On the NLP front, obviously, you've seen us invest in Alexa. That was the first, we were the first ERP company to do it. We're working closely with Amazon on doing the finish to get through the finish line before we can make it available later this year as a production skill. On the machine learning and AI, we have a dedicated team that's, focusing on that. We have fleshed out several scenarios across the different modules on what are some of the key things we can make it better, bring in some new use cases to light using the machine learning. So that's something that the team is working on, and we'll be publishing that, more information in the coming months. So switching gears here, right? Just a quick glimpse on, how we are kind of framing our thinking around the not just the core platform and the functional module, but also some of the future tech. But it all comes down to, at the end of the day, like, how do we get this in the hands of the community, and then how do we leverage the developers and the developers in the network to be able to use in a lot of these capabilities at the platform level, and then continue to build on top of it. So the one-stop shop that at least we would like to think is the Acumatica Developer Network. There's an ADN, .acumatica.com is the URL. I'm sure most of you know and visit this often, but bookmark this if you don't. I mean, this is the place where, Mark and team spend time on, bringing in additional new content like blogs and videos, providing information around the platform updates and so on. But primarily driving this as a place for you to go connect with other community, engagement tools. And I'll talk about Stack Overflow and GitHub in a second. But then use this, developer network as a place to kind of find information about the developer guide, API references, training for developers, information about the hackathon, and the projects associated with that. So I'll be remiss when I talk about the developer network and community if I don't mention our developer MVPs. I know most of you are all in the call today. So appreciate you joining the call, and appreciate you actually, engaging with their community, helping them, as they have questions on, Acumatica platform and the tools and whatnot. It's absolutely phenomenal to see the engagement that we have gotten from these MVPs, and I personally want to see this community grow. So first, want to thank, Brandon, Caswell, Diane, Fernando, Gabriel, Joshua, Marco, Prasanna, Sharif, Terry, and Victor. Really appreciate you all taking the time and being part of this. I think this makes our collective, job that much more easier and fun. And as I said, others who are interested in becoming part of this, please check out the program details at adn.acumatica.com/MVP, or reach out to Mark for further questions. So the next couple of things that I want to close on is, first is Stack Overflow. I mean, this is a community that we use as a primarily as a forum for developers and any development related questions. I think this forum has grown quite steadily from the time that I've started watching this. It's great to see the engagement. We're using this forum for both getting questions answered, if you will, by the community, but also publishing some, KB articles as the team discovers, specific things to convey. This is a place for us to share that as well. One of the engagement that we have started recently is driving what we call a Stack Overflow, bash sessions. Essentially, some MVPs and Mark and Ruslan and other team members getting together and working through some of the questions, talking through some of the questions that were posed that was really, challenging questions, and how we can figure out the right solution. It's a good start. I think great to see that type of, engagement happening. But I think we can do more here. So that's where, now that we have a good number of developers on the call here today in the summit, I would love to, see you all participate in this. Participation doesn't mean you have to answer a question every single day. Participation means set up your account, post a question, as you see that you're running into an issue, take the help of the community. This is about leveraging the crowd knowledge, so to speak, right? So that is a good participation. And then when folks answer the question, do us a favor by selecting if it's an answer or not. I think that also helps us to make sure that, that we have answered the question, that you're looking for, or it's still unanswered, that we need to follow up to get you the right information. So this is again a forum that we're going to continue to focus and invest in, and would love to have you all participate in this. Next, I will close by talking about GitHub. Definitely a platform that I'm sure you all are familiar. In fact, they were in the press all over recently with the Microsoft, acquiring GitHub. They definitely is a very popular, probably not just popular, but most used open source repository out there. We as Acumatica, we participate quite a bit in this GitHub for our community. And we have projects that are essentially projects built by Acumatica. We've actually open sourced some of our integrations that we built, things like Smartsheet integration, DocuSign integration, Adobe Sign integration. We have open sourced them, and intentionally so our community members can take it and enhance it, do a fork, make some changes, add features, and then publish them back into the GitHub. We also have solutions that our partners have published. We also have solutions that we work in collaboration with you all in bringing that together. And we also have many hackathon projects. After we have done the hackathon last couple of years, those are available on GitHub as well. But one of the things that we looked at earlier this year is, the projects out there, though they're all very valuable, good projects, some of them may not be a project, might be a sample. I don't think it belongs in GitHub. So Ruslan and Mark are working on an effort. We're hoping to get this thing completed in sometime in the next month or so, where we will have a new look and feel for our GitHub Acumatica repository, have some standard, guidelines, if you will. We call it the rules of the road. So every project that gets posted into Acumatica repository within GitHub, we have a consistent naming convention. We have basic set of documentation, so it makes it easy for our customers and developers who are downloading the project and using them in their environment, that they have information that need for installation, configuration, etc. So that's something that we're looking to publish in the near soon, and we expect feedback from you as well as participation from you all. Last thing I want to announce today is we're also happy to get a new Acumatica sponsored projects initiative underway. More info on this will be published in July. Essentially, the idea is that we will get a couple of us, myself, Ali, and others, to sponsor a project in GitHub. We would love to get ideas from you on some of the things that you wanted to always work as a project. Send them to Mark. There will be a form with information. You can get them. We'll have the community to help us choose the right 2 or 3 projects to go work on. We would solicit the help of an MVP to work on each one of those projects, and also community members to join each one of those projects. And the goal is to start the project sometime in August and then run them for about 3 months with regular sprints and check-in meetings and so on, as much as we can all afford time. I understand, we all have our day job, but I think, we're committing to essentially spending time with you all in bringing a few projects and getting them published into GitHub. There'll also be recognition and prizes, more information on that coming soon. So with that, I want to close this session by thanking you all for your participation and contribution so far to the developer community and to the Acumatica platform in general. It's been my pleasure and honor to work with you all. I know there's many questions popping up, so I'll have a chance to answer some of them in the chat window or in the Q&A. For those that I don't know, we'll find out the right person to come out and get you the questions answered. So with that, I know we're right on time here. We've got the next session queued up to go in. I'm excited to see the mix of sessions that we have planned for the next couple of days. We have our developers driving sessions. We have community members and partners driving sessions. Fantastic to see that type of participation in this in the summit. So with that, let me turn it over to Mark so we can move on with the rest of the agenda. And I want to thank you all for your time. If you have any questions or anything that you need from me, feel free to reach out to me. My email is ajoyk@acumatica.com. It's probably not easy to remember, but Mark has got that in that front slide. He will share the recording and the slides and so on, and you can reach out to me anytime. Yep. With that, I'll hand it back to Mark and see you all at a future session or at the summit.
Yep. You can reach out to me. Mine's easier, M. Franks, like Mark and hot dogs. Really easy to remember.